All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the event of an emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to an exit door. All doors will open from the inside. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 11th, 2023. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance to the school and filed with the clerk in the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Here.
Mr. Coletta?
Here.
Mr. Guzman? Mr. Martinez?
Here.
Mr. Matzo?
Here.
Mr. Webb? Mr. Zentanovic? And Mrs. Issa.
Here. Okay, let's see. Can I have a motion to accept correspondence?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Moscow, seconded by Mr. Coletta. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes?
So second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Motsko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. So should we do the roll call for the executive, or since we know that we're not gonna have quorum, just table it for the
You
next?
can make a motion to table it for the next board meeting, just state that you're, when you're going to table it and when you're going to bring it back up again at the next board meeting.
Okay, so we're going to table, approving the minutes or passing the minutes for the executive committee, meeting from the last meeting, because we don't have, a quorum, as Mr. Abbasi was not here for the executive session. So, we will pick that up again. Oh, that's right, you were not here either. Oh, yeah, so we definitely don't have.
So make a motion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion to table, executive meeting minutes till the June 21st meeting. I just need somebody to second. Okay, so, seconded by Mr. Matsko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay. Can I have a motion to open the floor to citizens on agenda items only?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Moscow, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, the floor is open to the public for agenda items only. Anything, Mr. Miller? Okay. Motion to close the floor?
So second.
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Moscow. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, adoptions. Can I have a motion to pass adoptions 6.1 through 6.3?
So moved. Second.
So moved by Mr. Moscow and seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Can I just ask a quick clarification?
Oh, sure.
So the tuition for the learning limited disability folks, that's not per person, right?
That is per person. That's actually a little bit cheaper than what the projection is for the next school year.
Wow. Okay.
It was actually up to like $500,000, and that's just a projection off of what happened in the past. These are actual numbers that the state had approved that was just released in maybe, May. Yeah. That's if we were to receive someone in who wants to come into a LLD program, we can charge these fees according to the program.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if we send someone out to another school district and their numbers are the same, we can be charged that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
and Mrs.
Yes. Okay, can I have a motion to pass 7.1 of contracts, under contracts and joint services?
So moved. Thank you.
Moved by Mr. Mosco, moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Mosco. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
and Mrs. Zissou.
Yes. Okay, so moving on to committee reports. I will start with my report. Good evening, everyone. We had a great retreat this past Saturday right here at the HPS Media Center. Kathy Helwa did a wonderful job of facilitating the day, and we had a robust discussion about student achievement, challenges and accomplishments of our board, and how we can work together to advance our district and help our students reach their full potential. Ms. Hallowell will be sending a summary report of our discussion and some board goals we all set, and we'll share that with the board. I'd like to thank everyone who was involved in helping to plan and carry out the retreat, including Kathy Helwa, CSA Chris Waka, Business Administrator Lamika Augustin, Administrative Assistant to the BA Lois Joblis, Manchester Cafeteria Manager Judy Muniz, HPS custodian Bill Spanos, and of course our board members who attended and participated. It was a worthwhile and valuable activity, and I think it laid the groundwork for some meaningful work ahead. Just a quick update on our board and HEA contract discussions. We've had a few productive meetings, and our next meeting will be on June 9th. So we look forward to continued conversations to ultimately reach a final contract. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we will discuss the chief school administrator evaluation during executive session at the June 21st meeting. So in advance of that, I'm asking all board members to please complete the evaluation by Monday, June 12th. This way I have time to compile all the responses into one evaluation that we will discuss during executive session. And that hopefully is a little bit more of an efficient way to do this. And then we will present it during executive session to Mr. Walker at the June 21st meeting so that we make our July 30th deadline. So I want to take a moment to recognize and thank Mrs. Marmo for her 13 years of service to our students, families, and community at HPS. So many of her years, and I think all of them I'm not positive about that, but they were spent teaching first grade. So I think we all know how important the primary school years are, not just for the students, but for their families as well. It's crucial to have a homeroom teacher who makes our little ones feel safe and valued, and who makes school and learning a positive experience. And it's important for parents to be able to bond with that teacher, knowing that their child is being cared for and encouraged by someone they trust. I believe that Mrs. Marmo's students and families had all those wonderful experiences. So thank you, Mrs. Marmo, for being such an important part of your students' lives and the HPS community. And we wish you and your family the very best. Lastly, as we go into June, there are a lot of activities, around the end of year that are taking place. There was a whole bunch of activities on Friday, the carnival, the barbecue, a very lively wrestling match, wrestling fundraiser. And then coming up, the field trips, the 8th grade dance, the pre-K, kindergarten, 8th grade graduations, just to name a few. So I hope all of our students and families and teachers, staff, and community remain safe and truly enjoy these last few weeks of the school year. And with that, I will pass it over to Mr. Waka.
Thank you, Board President Isa. It's funny the direction you went with your notes because mine follow a similar course. I want to thank you for helping organize and push for the board retreat this past Saturday. It really did turn out to be a positive and wonderful event. I thought the discussions and the training was fantastic. I'm hopeful that this is something that this board will consider doing and making a new normal. I think it's just a good way to, whenever you get new board members or just to re-energize and bond with, existing board members. I think it's a great thing. It has been a busy last few weeks at HPS between the Apex fundraising, which has raised over $10,000, which is great, for the PTA and then the classes, and the SEL and the carnival and the dunk tanks and the pies in the face and the pro wrestling. It always seems like something fun and exciting is going on campus. And I think the busy nature of our school is a good thing, and it's something that affords us, it affords us joy to be able to offer so many positive experiences for our students. The next few weeks are going to be the same. We have a music concert, a prom, an 8th grade trip, an end of the year breakfast, a kindergarten graduation, a certified angel showcase, a trip for 3rd graders, so they're going on their class trip. And there's probably a bunch of other things that I'm forgetting. I really am prideful and in awe of all the staff members who make these great things possible for the kids and the parents that devote and they volunteer so much time, and for all the partnerships that we have in the community that are so vital to making these events possible. So at the next board meeting on June 21st, we're also going to have a lot going on. We'll begin the process of electing a new board member to fill Mr. Zinn's seat. But before we begin that process, we'll be honoring Ms. Marzella, our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Quinonius, our Educational Service Provider of the Year, and all the teachers that have recently put in for retirement and resignation. We'll honor them as well. We'll do that first, and then once we're finished with that important activity at the 21st meeting, we'll take a 5-minute break and then transition into the board member selection process. So that'll be a busy night for us. And then Ms. Isa mentioned the executive session afterwards. And that's really all I have from my report tonight. The agenda tonight is fairly straightforward, but if any board member has specific questions, I'm happy to try and answer whatever I can pertaining to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. If nobody has any questions, I will turn it over to Ms. Augustin, our Business Administrator.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to remind everybody again about the workshop in October. We definitely need to make sure that I have a firm count of who's going, and we need to make arrangements for accommodation. So the earlier the better. So we want to just kind of finalize that within the business office so we can know how to move forward. My report was mainly comprised of all the finance items today. A lot of it is all contracts that are being renewed for the new school year. And also there's a lengthy vendor list for vendors that we use that we try to approve every year on the agenda. This is definitely a large amount, but obviously we'll add more on during the year as needed when services come up. But if you guys have any questions about that, I'll be glad to answer that. We already approved the tax schedule that was on the agenda. This is basically the tax levy that we approved during the budget, and we submit a schedule to the township every year for us to receive our tax payments. Tuition rates we already discussed. This is what we would charge a tuition-based student if he or she was to be accepted into the school district. We also are approving the use of facilities. We had a brief discussion about this in the Finance Committee meeting today. We were just discussing who do we charge for usage of our facilities and what will be the particular parameters around that. In addition, every year around this time, we have to approve the capital reserve, maintenance reserve, and emergency reserve. These reserves are needed to be approved every year. After the audit, when we have excess surplus funds, we are allowed to put it in these 3 vehicles in case we can be covered for other things like capital improvements, maintenance, and any type of emergency reserve. So that's all I have, besides if there's any other questions about any renewals or contracts that's on the agenda, I can.
I have a question. So at the last meeting, we approved a very similar list for 2022-23. And now this one is for 23-24. So I was wondering that 2022-23 list, we must have done that in June of last year, right?
Right, and maybe where we're putting it to make sure it's stated 23-24. So we want to make sure that the resolution state that these are the ones, the vendors that we're using for 23-24.
Right, these are the ones for the year coming, and the ones that we approved the last meeting, those are already done.
Those are already done, or maybe it wasn't on at that time. And I'm thinking that the year was wrong, that's why we.
Oh, okay. Do you have a question? Anybody have any
Yeah,
questions?
so on that list, there's one that's in bold, RAK Plumbing, is that for a reason?
Well, I know for sure we did not use this vendor last year, so I know it's on there because it's a new vendor that we didn't use in the previous year.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's why it stands out.
yes, and, yeah, this is a new vendor for sure that we use this year.
Maybe their plumbing's so good.
Well, they handled the emergency situation.
Oh, they were, so maybe they need credit because they got their cafeteria open one day.
So and then, so for 14-15, that tuition contract that's going to a student who's, so that's one of our students going to Chapel Hill?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, so moving on, thank you, Madam Secretary, and then moving on to personnel and management, Mr. Martinez.
To move 9.1.
No, we're not moving yet, we're just,
Report.
curriculum and technology, Mr. Abbasi?
yeah, the only thing on the agenda tonight is essentially giving some field trips. And Ms. Rowan does have some sustainability looking beyond American Rescue Plan workshop she's attending. That's it, so just agenda items only, that's all there is tonight.
Policy and public relations, Mr. Martinez?
To report.
Okay, security and safety, Mr. Coletta?
Nothing to report on here.
Okay, actually, there is
Yes,
12.1. 12.1. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the one agenda item.
Community engagements and outreach, Mr. Motzko?
Nothing to report.
Okay, and finance and physical plant, Mr. Motzko?
Everything that we already approved and agenda items only.
For state and county, since Mr. Steinbeck is not here, I will, just remind everybody that, we received an email on May 22nd from New Jersey School Board Association asking for feedback, on topics that we would be interested in hearing about or seeing presentations on for next year, from the county, I'm sorry, it was from Passaic County, SBA. So, it's worth it to fill out that survey, and the deadline is June 9th, this Friday. So if you have a few minutes, just fill it out and just give your feedback on, what you might be interested in, getting some, professional development on. And that's it for state and county. I did see Mr. Merlino here. Mr. Merlino, do you have anything for the attorney report?
Evening, no report tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, let me get back to my agenda then. So then let's start approving agenda items. So personnel, Mr. Martinez.
Let's move 9.1 and all the way to 9.6, please. Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes,
Mr. Coletta.
Yes,
Okay. All right, Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
and Mrs. Zissou.
Yes. Curriculum and technology, Mr. Abbasi.
I'd like to move item 10.1.
Second. So
Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes,
Mr. Coletta,
yes,
Mr. Martinez,
yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
and Mrs. Zissou.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, security and safety, Mr. Coletta.
I'd like to make a motion to move agenda item 12.1.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Coletta, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
Was it considered to have a firearm stored in a secure location rather than having him carry?
So,
that's something you want to discuss.
yeah, so that's a good question. So there's two separate conversations. There was the one conversation about the chief of police had come up to me and said, I'm exploring the idea of having an automatic AR, like a stronger type of weapon.
In the locker.
Stored in a locker that only the SRO has the key to, and only the SRO would have the bullets to. Is that something you want to do? And I said, at HPS, we definitely explore it. Like, we're not saying, a hard no to anything like that. And, we might actually say yes, but the conversation ended with, Chief Danielle was gonna look more into it. We haven't heard back from him yet, so I don't know if the information he got from his insurance or from the county prosecutors may have been like, we recommend you don't do this. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, either way about that. So I guess from our perspective, it's still on the table. And as far as Brian, since Brian's been here, it's longer than I've been here, so more than 7 years. He's always had a firearm that the school would pay insurance for. So there's never really a discussion about putting his particular weapon, in any particular storage. He was always an honest person.
Any other questions?
Can I, I don't know if we're allowed, can I respond?
Mhm.
Just,
Yeah,
okay,
please.
yeah, just based on my experience and training and stuff, it's better in reality for him to have it than
Right.
have it arrested, because that actually happened at William Patterson University. There were police officers active who patrolled, had their guns locked up, and then they had a shooting. And they had to relate for all the other police officers to come when they went back to go get their guns. So, I mean, that, now they carry, there's only one police department left in the state that does that, but I know Brian's here as security, but it's definitely like, God forbid, in the worst case scenario, it's much more, important that he has it than has to go get it.
If, Mr. Rocca, if we continue that conversation, it would be an executive session?
Yeah.
So because it's safety, yes, and just
Okay.
to make sure we're on the same page, if someone does wish to vote no, it would be the majority of the people that are here, you wouldn't need 5 yes votes to pass this, you just need 3 yes votes.
So did we start the roll call on this one?
Yes.
Okay, so what say you?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
And Mrs. Zissin?
Yes. Okay, let's see. That is security and safety. So now we're going down to finance and physical plant. Mr. Motzko?
I'd like to move item 14.1 through 14.13.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Okay, moved by Mr. Motzko, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Ms. Alvasi?
Yes.
Yes.
I was waiting
I said yes.
He said,
for a question though.
Oh,
Mr. Coletta?
yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
And it's out.
So we're new and old business. Does anybody have anything for the
One. Mike and Carlos for winning the board member scavenger hunt. So, Mario, you guys are an admirable team.
We were missing 3. But now we're up on our HPS history.
I do have one quick thing. So I missed the last couple of meetings. I listened to the last, so there was a comment or question made in the public session and it wasn't addressed. So somebody asked why Mr. Coletta's picture was not on the website or noted that it wasn't on the website. And just from my personal experience, I didn't even know originally that our pictures were up there. And I don't know, about 3 months after I started, Bill showed up with a camera one day, said, "Hey, I need to take your picture." And then another 3 months later, it showed up on the website. So it took a long time for me too. So I don't think it's anything personal against Mr.
No.
Coletta.
I'm
That's
sure
all I
it's.
Okay.
Mr. Cook can take your picture anytime. If you want to dress, for the picture, you'll do it at the next meeting.
I got caught off guard and was wearing the ugliest polo. I don't know.
Old Charles letter was like.
First, you can plan to get your picture taken for the website. So that works.
Good.
Be up to date. Well, now we have it, and we'll all be up to date. Okay, anything else for new or old business? Okay, so then let's open the floor for public discussion. Before we do roll call, just a reminder, the public has 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and your address. please, just reiterating what I said at the last meeting, keep your comments general, no names, no positions, that's not appropriate for public comment. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so can I have a motion to, open the floor to the public?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Coletta, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vassie?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, so the floor is open. There's nobody here in person, so we can go right to anybody who's attending virtually if they'd like to speak. Anybody?
Let's in the chat. I don't see any hands up.
I do see a hand.
Yeah. I see one hand.
I think she got muted.
Okay, Ms. Garner, you're unmuted.
You?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
we got you.
Roxana Serna, 440 Southside Ave, Hilden, New Jersey, 07508. I would like to remind the board of what was said at the November meeting.
Okay,
We can't hear you.
We can't hear that audio.
reassured us that they are completely committed to education in accordance with our board policy, which would prohibit any type of indoctrination or imposing personal beliefs on any child. So under no circumstances will indoctrination be condoned at Hilden Public Schools, because that's not what we do. That's not what we are about. Putting that on the record.
So I hope this board is aware of a teacher imposing their views on our children and teaching outside of the curriculum. I also hope that you are.
I just want to that we may not discuss personnel matters that are
I didn't
confidential.
address anybody's name like you just said.
You also can't call out a teacher by,
I didn't call out a teacher. It was a general statement.
okay, go ahead.
I also hope that you can finally understand what I have been trying to say all year long. The trust is just not there. The school has lost the trust of the parents. So instead of trying to censor me, the only parent that shows, or censor the board by instructing them not to answer me, you should do what you were elected to do, which is to hold Waco accountable or resign and go back to the PTA where you feel more comfortable. We need more cameras in the classroom as well as mics.
Anybody else? Nothing? Okay.
Can I address the camera?
No, we're gonna close the floor first, and then you can say something. Motion to close,
Second. So moved.
moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Martinez.
As far as the cameras, I do agree, we do need more cameras. But I also believe in one of our previous meetings, we spoke about a budget that we are in process of
You're
getting
getting 42 more on
42
campus.
more cameras. I just want to address that we did vote on that. That's coming soon.
I do want to address, we are not trying to censor anybody. As long as what we're trying to do and what every board should do is preserve the integrity of all of our students, teachers, and staff. So, and that's important. So we will always do that. Anybody else?
If I may, I think her comment about cameras was in the classrooms. Cameras in the classrooms, not like the cameras we're getting are not in the classrooms. The ones with her situation outside, I think the comment was more towards having additional cameras, to have a camera in each classroom. That's my understanding of it.
I think one day it'll happen. Note come soon, but I think one day we'll get it done as a state.
Are there classrooms now, schools with cameras in the classroom?
Not that I'm,
I haven't heard,
not
yeah.
that
I've
I'm
never-
specifically aware of, maybe in other states, but like, the first step was during the pandemic with the Zoom, where, mom or dad could just essentially be in the class where they're hovering behind or they're eating in the same room. So I think that kind of demystified the process. I think technology is getting cheaper and people are starting to trust it more. So I don't think it's going to be a tomorrow thing, but I could see it at some point in the future of American public education that.
And I don't think legally, as a public employee, they have the right to privacy during their employment.
You might be right. I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They're,
It's like-
they, same as if you're in a
I think
public
it's not
area.
as like-
Right, it's almost like you're spying on the teacher.
No, but I mean, I don't think they legally have any right to privacy. You're a public employee. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, I'm not an attorney. but-
It needs to be the kids that have the right.
Mr. Merlino?
Yeah.
It's the kids' privacy under the FERPA, the Federal uh, Privacy Act, where the kids, so we don't want the kids' identities and confidentialities breached. So it's really about just, making sure that the kids are okay.
Mm,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else, anyone? Okay, then I don't think we have an executive session tonight. Okay, so we are going to adjourn. Let's get to can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Moscow, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Martina?
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
And Mrs. Zissa?
Yes. Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.